everyone. That was a bad gong strike, but you know what? It's going to be okay because we got a great episode today. Welcome back. Checked out Retail Stories podcast. We're very excited today. I'm Ryan. He's my brother, Doug. We're going to take you through the messy, chaotic, but also rewarding and sometimes producing some legendary story retail landscape.
Super excited, guys. We have Lena Keares today from Lancaster, not Lancaster, not Lancaster, not Lula. It's Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Actually, we grew up, we actually lived in Carlisle for a little bit, which is interesting. She's going to talk about her involvement in skill games, coming back from the big city, big sales job to hang out with her father, Hefe. And also, dress code change there. A lot of cool things happen. She's on today, Ryan. Can't wait. And then we're going to talk about some more stuff.
Oh, it's amazing. It's going to take you through the big, fat Greek wedding, family business, Greek business. I mean, it's just great family dynamics, similar to ours. It's just amazing. She's an amazing guest. And also, she's going to walk us through her schwasty wedding reception story, which, it's going to be legendary.
It was awesome. And from one second-generation business owner to another, it's going to be great. But guys, second-generation business owners happen because of great, great, great sponsors and people that understand the needs of small businesses, fraternal orders, and organizations across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Today, guys, our friends at PA Skill Lines are fighting the good fight, and you can find more information at PASkillLines.org, supporting genuine Pennsylvania skill games powered by Pacematic across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Skill, not luck, baby. Skill, not luck, baby, all day long, PASkillLines.org. But this week, Doug, we were very fortunate through your buddy. We attended the Mel Blunt Celebrity Roast benefiting his youth charity initiative. And I mean,
Big Al.
Thank you.
It was awesome.
It was amazing. And, his youth leadership initiative is amazing. I mean, he walked us through Mel Blunt. Everybody knows Mel Blunt, the legendary Steeler lockdown corner. Honestly, he's one of the guys that created the position of lockdown corner. I mean, they literally made rules eliminating his bump and run coverage because he was just shutting everybody down. But, more importantly than his Hall of Fame career, which stands on his own, is what he's done after retirement. And I mean, he has that amazing ranch, and he allows kids that wouldn't have that kind of opportunity to come out and experience things and ride horses and learn, what it's like to be a citizen, a good citizen. I mean, it's just amazing what he's doing. But that was awesome. And, the whole tuxedo escapade was also awesome. Doug and I, that was honestly my first time ever wearing a tux outside of a wedding or a prom or something like that. How about you?
Last time I wore a tux, I was literally talking about it as your wedding. Yeah. But then, it was the first time wearing a tux. The process for gathering the tux, it's a big time commitment. You got the fitting, you got the pick-uppy, and then the refitting, and then you got to return it. There's a few plays there, and I mean, mine didn't go great because I had to return the next morning before the truck got there. But yours is a little more interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, start off with the celebrity roast. We got to see, Terry Bradshaw. I mean, hello, look behind me. Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw was the MC. He was the host, and he did a great job. I mean, he was there. You had Charlie Batch there. You had, who else? Joey Porter was there. I mean, it was unbelievable. The guy that shops Saxonburg store, Moon.
Oh, yeah. Moon was there.
He was there. I mean, just unbelievable cast of characters. Bob Pompiani was there, gave a nice speech. But, I mean, unbelievable. But anyways, so it was just a real honor to be there. Thanks again, Al. But, yeah, the tux. So we went and got fitted for the tux, got our tuxes. Well, Attorney Luke, 700 shop, future guest, by the way, He's got a life of business and unbelievable. But he, fitted us, got the tuxes, and he said to me, why are you going to rent a tux? You should buy a tux. And I'm like, I remember it was back and forth because I'm like, I don't really wear tuxes that much. He said, well, maybe you will, And so there's this whole back and forth. Well, somewhere along the line, and definitely my fault. He's a lot more thorough than me. I must have said, I want to rent. But I said, I want to buy. So he rents me a tux. And it was a nice looking tux. Both of them were really nice tuxes. We look good. We cleaned up all right. We posted the pictures.
I have a question though. Like, you notice the tags on the inside says please return to blah, blah, blah. They're not going to sell you a tux and put those on the inside.
I didn't even notice it because, like all things we do, literally, it was one of those get home from doing whatever. I forget what we were even doing that day. I think were we doing the cast? Were we shooting the cast? Were we working?
No, we went to Collinsville the night before.
Yeah.
And then we played some cats.
That's right.
And then got back late and then went to work.
Rushing around.
And then had to rush down to the city.
Yeah.
Fight through the pre-draft traffic and got to the event.
That's right. And in the rush, I'm not focusing on what anything says. I'm just trying to make sure, is there a tie? Is there pants? Is there a shirt? I mean, literally just make sure it's all on and go. Nice thing about tux, you don't have to worry about tying the tie, pre-tie. But anyways, so do the event, great event, whatever. Come home and, you know, now that we do things like that, I'm going to the dry cleaner. So I loaded up for the dry cleaner with a couple of their shirts, stop in Ford City, spick and span, and you know, drop it off. I think I'm doing a good job. You know, I'm getting it dry cleaned. So put it in to be dry cleaned. Next thing I know, look down, text from Turney. Oh, what a reminder, rental's due tonight. And I didn't even think about it because I was in the middle of trying to think of 10 other things. So I'm like, okay, I'll get back to him in a little bit. I thought he was referring to yours. I thought maybe you didn't return it or something. Anyways, so then I get back to him. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. I'm like, I called him. I'm like, Attorney, I said, I bought the tux. He's like, no, it was a rental. I need it back today. There's going to be a late fee. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I said, I just took it to the dry cleaner. He's like, what? I said, yeah. He said, there's a rented tux. He's just lost, you know? And I'm like, well, I said, what? I don't know what to do now. It's in the dry cleaning. He's like, well, there's going to be a late fee. I could probably get that waived. I said, listen, I I really like that tux. Why don't you just tell him I want to buy it? He's like, well, a used tux. He said, you're going to buy a used rental tux. And, you know, honestly, at this point, I just wanted to get it off my list. I just wanted to get it out of my life. So I'm like, yeah, I'll buy the used rental tux.
I just have so many questions. Like, I mean, you didn't notice the tags. There's like 5 tags. It says send back to Bob Schmidt, whatever it is. That's amazing. Well,
yeah, so anyway, so bottom line is they say no, we can't because we have this. It's rented again. Like it's rented again. I don't know how that whole thing works, but it's rented. We can't sell it to you. And then they came back and they said, well, we'll sell it to you for $600. I'm already $100 deep on this. I mean, it was a nice tux, but it wasn't like, it wasn't something that John Wayne wore back in the day. I mean, this is like just a normal tux that probably 50 Joes like me had been crawling in and out of for the last 2 months. So bottom line is Tony then calls them, says no, calls me back. He says, I got you the tux. I'm like, I said, they changed your mind? He's like, no, I bought you another tux. Now, keep in mind, I haven't seen this other tux. But Turney has better taste than me. I mean, he's been owning and operating a men's shop for 40, 50 years.
3,500 tuxes, by the way.
3,500 tuxes he's renting to people. So this guy knows what a tux should look like on a guy. So I trust his judgment. But yeah, he bought a tux. He bought me at the tux. So yeah, that's the tux story.
Everything's always a challenge in our world.
Always a challenge.
Always a challenge. But
Speaking of challenges.
Well, it's funny. It happened again. You know how we talk about the whole generator thing in Leechburg. For those who don't know, Evergreen Road. Let's go back a little bit. So there's 2 main roads into Leechburg. There's the main Highway 66, which is, more commercial. There's some churches and there's not a lot of places really to build because it's not flat. I mean, it's a hill on one side, hill on the other. So there's not a lot of houses there. Evergreen Road is the back way in, which is, a lot more hilly. It goes down through a little valley there, but it's really sharp, edges, and there's trees everywhere. So when I was a kid, they basically kept all the trees pretty low because, as people were taking care of them. But as, people moved away, as, money got tighter, they weren't keeping up with the trees. And so now you have about 10,000 trees growing into the power line. So every time there's a wind over 20 miles per hour, a tree or two falls, and it's always a big one because for the people don't understand is like when you're on a hill, there's only so much soil base before it hits rock. So like when you get saturation and high winds, it gets the roots get loose and it tends to fall over and causes, mass chaos. So, we've been experiencing some dramatic power outages, multiple day power outages in our Leechburg store, which we've talked about before, the madness with that. So I finally talked this cowboy into getting a generator, and I haven't talked to him in a couple weeks about it, and he's like, do you think we really need it again? Like literally the same conversation last year, and I'm like, yes, we need it again because I'm not going through this again. And literally, sure enough, a couple of days ago, the power goes out. And so I called Andrew Voighton, who's our electrician, longtime friend, ordered the generator. It should be here in 6 months. So we got to sweat out 6 months before it gets here. But then, there's a big process to it. But that's what we've been doing in the store. And so we're ready for the generator.
The generator's a big deal. And the reason it took so long to get the generator is because the same thing costs for the generator and the amount of time you pay for it. You could get a new floor in your store, paint the whole store, do a new decor, decorative package, and have a week, probably 6 weeks of anniversary stuff. So that's why it's taken so long. We finally got the generator. And Justin pointed out, Doug, that the name of the road that always causes the problems, how ironic, Evergreen Road. Literally, it's called Evergreen Road. And what always falls, mostly?
Not evergreens. Actually, it's usually oak.
Well, it looks like an evergreen.
It's kind of green.
Maybe I'm just thinking evergreen, so I'm like...
Well, no, it's still a tree to your point. It's still a tree.
But that's it. That's it. That's the challenge. We have a solution. Hopefully, it helps the world spin better. But it's time for Retail Stereotype with Doug.
Fun fact for you. You know what the word silviculture means?
No.
Silviculture?
Silviculture, no.
Yeah, silviculture is the farming of trees.
Oh.
So during my political battles with my one township, I became a silviculture.
Oh, that's right.
Master.
We were tree farmers.
Yes.
Well, technically, we were tree farmers. I mean,
We still are.
We have piles of wood there that could probably, fuel a village for
70
years.
we have 70 cores left, and we sold 100.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, what's happening? What's the stereotype this week, Ryan? I love it. You're up there. You're register 3. It's usually a guy. Very rarely does a woman do this because a guy always re-raises. You're there checking them out. Ding, ding, ding. There's a price error, or there's just an error in general. And all of a sudden, you look up, and the guy looks at you like it's almost like you paid him off, like he won the lottery. He's like, "Is it free?" This week, stereotype is the free checkout comedian.
I mean, that's so funny. But I was looking at this and you just said it. I'm thinking, I have heard this at least 5 times this week. I heard it twice at Leechburg before 7:30 a.m. when I was opening because I opened and there was a whole problem with the register because I opened. And next thing you know, if somebody doesn't get something, doesn't ring up and, oh, is it free? I mean, no, it's not.
Do you know where it comes from?
Oh, that's an original joke. Very good.
No. Actually, for a while there, people were scammed. That's why in our ad, it says we reserve the right to whatever, all that legalese talk. It's because people were doing small court claims claiming that it was false advertisement. And so stores, instead of going to court for every pricing error, they just said, fine, here it is for free. It was actually a thing for a while. It was a big deal back in the early 2000s with Giant Eagle. There was a lady in the South Side who was just pounding the crap out of them over like dumb stuff. And when she'd find it on purpose and then apply max pressure and small claims court. So that's why it's so prevalent. But at the same point, it's like this: you have 30,000 SKUs, you have 30 people running a store. The odds of you make a mistake are pretty good. You're not gonna get 100%. You're gonna get hopefully 99, 98, 97. But even if you get 99, right? So for every 10,000, that's
That'd be 10.
10,000.
For 10,000, 1% of 10,000
Yes.
is 10.
10 times 3, 30 items a week.
Oh, yeah, 30 items.
30 items.
That's true.
On average.
It'd be 30 times 30 disturbances a week.
If you're perfect.
If you're perfect.
Yeah, like in no way's perfect.
No.
So
I'll settle for anything less than 5 points. Honestly.
right. So that's this week's retail stereotype of the week.
Don't be that guy. Or maybe be that guy. I don't know. Maybe just run until they stop at Chuck Hoover, my offensive coordinator. Anyways, here we go. Origin story. Doug, do you remember? It was about a 5-year period of and I remember you helping me. I want to hear your memory on it and your take. The Kraft truckload, the Kraft truckload sales. Do you remember those?
We got the ad down in South Pittsburgh by the airport.
No. That was that could be a whole other story. But no. Our warehouse at the time, we were a member of a co-op, AWI, Associated Wholesalers Incorporated. They're no longer in existence.
Cooked.
Went out of business and took all of the hard-earned dollars of all of the retailers that were vested in the company and right down the drain. I think it'd be a great idea to buy a rogue company in inner city New York City that's struggling, that is infiltrated with possibly mob activity.
Organized crime.
Allegedly. And let's buy them and take it on with our 100-year solid business and see what happens and mix it up. Anyways, so that was a chaotic mess. But one cool thing that they did do, but you'll see it wasn't maybe as cool, they offered truckload Kraft deals where you could buy a whole truck of Kraft items. All the Kraft items, Oreos, all that kind of stuff. All of that stuff you could buy a whole truckload and have, but yet you can only get it delivered to one location.
I remember, before we get back, I want to go back real quick. Remember in Goodfellas? Remember the restaurant, like the Tiki Lounge place where they stopped paying their bills and ran all kinds of stuff through it?
Yeah.
You know, and remember how they got rid of it? They burned it at the end, took the insurance money, right?
I remember that. That poor guy, the front man that took it all.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible.
But no, can you imagine this? They're ready to torch this warehouse, and they're like, wait, we have an offer? They're like, yeah, this company had a little. Excellent. Hey, Mickey, put the gas cans away. We're gonna ride this one out.
Yeah, I don't think he had anybody looking to do a deal with those guys. I mean, and the poor guy that was the fall man that thought he was getting a restaurant, thought he was getting a restaurant with investors in the mob. No, they were just abusing his situation. Great movie, Goodfellas. Another movie to add to the Ryan and Doug recommendations, Goodfellas. Anyways, yeah.
Kraft truck. So
Kraft truck. So
you had to buy a whole truckload, which for us is a huge deal because think about this.
26 pallets of product come to one location. And at the time we had no way to cleanly get pallets off of a truck and then back onto a truck at any of the locations.
I remember this.
Yeah, it was brutal. You probably have blocked it out of your memory because it was so brutal. You definitely helped me at least once. It was so bad. The one notable time, and I think you helped me with this. I really do. Like somebody did. Had to have been you. You're the only one that I would have been able to recruit to do it. But they came into the Leechburg store, a whole truck, dropped it right there on the dock, inside, Kraft everywhere. But I was due to go to New York City drive to New York City with a couple friends and to see a Mets game. And so I really wanted to go to this Mets game. But Dad, back in the day, he was pretty hardcore. He's like, well, you can go for 3 days, but you got to get this truck distributed first. So all I had at my disposal was the horse trailer, and that was it. So all these pallets came to Leechburg. I had to separate them all, figure out what was going to go to Leechburg, merchandise the Leechburg store floor, take everything out, make sure there's signs on it, displays, build all that. Think about how long it takes with one other guy. Then hand unload what needed to go to Katanning. Hand unload what needed, then take it to Katanning, do the same thing at Katanning, get it all out on the floor. Price. Then come back, get Vandergriff and Apollo, hand unload that. Do the same thing at those two stores. Then go. I remember it was me and another guy. I thought it was you, but maybe it wasn't. It was me and another guy. We started the truck. The truck came in the evening before. I want to say 6 o'clock, and we started right away because we wanted to leave the next morning at like 9, 10 a.m. so we could go be in New York City for the game that night. I showed up in New York City on fumes, man. I mean, I slept on the way out. It was like 5 hours, but I was beat. Think about all that work, all that manual lifting. Now, here's the thing. You saved about $500 a pallet at the time.
That's a lot of money for grocery.
It was great. It was a great deal. And for father, it was a really good deal because he was the owner and I did all the work. I mean, he took care of me, but like at the same time, those were the most brutal experiences a grocer's going to go through. I mean, it just mentally brutal because we didn't have the technology. If we'd had the technology like a box truck and been able to like just take it seamlessly on and off of the dock, that wouldn't have been a big deal at all.
Not one case, U-boat, 2 truck, unload, hand unload, reload, hand unload again, reload. It's funny when you first said Kraft, I'm thinking, why the hell would he buy a whole truck of Kraft cheese?
Oh wow, it's funny.
And I'm like,
you immediately went to Kraft macaroni and cheese.
no, it's a Kraft like Velveeta, like the 24 slice cheese.
That was on the truck. There was some refrigerated items. It was that. It was like macaroni and cheese. It was Oreos.
Right, but I thought it was like literally a whole
Chips
I
Ahoy.
thought it was a whole truck of that. I'm like, why would you buy a truckload of Velveeta cheese? I'm like,
it was the loaves. Remember the Velveeta loaves?
oh, the loaf.
That was a huge item.
$4.99, baby.
It was a huge item, and and we got it. We saved like 50 cents off a unit by doing it. It was a great promotion, but it was crazy amount of. He's talking about high touch from a previous episode. High touch. It was the most touching. To your point, you're touching these items, and each pallet contained about 100 cases. Say so. Like, think about it. 100 times.
That's 24,000 items.
Times. Yeah, I mean, we were booking. I was beat.
24,000
I was
cases.
physically and mentally exhausted, but I really earned that baseball game. Anyways, yeah, that's the craft truck escapade story of, let's say 2007-ish. You might have been in Virginia.
Yeah, I don't think I was around for that.
Yeah.
Well,
You're lucky.
You know, very similar to the buzzword of the week, you were a strategic resource to manage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was definitely a strategic resource. Yes. Okay, well, it is time for, we just segued nicely, corporate word of the week. And the corporate word of the week is actually a phrase. Let's take this offline.
Yes.
Let's take this offline. Definition, it's a way of saying, let's take this topic outside the group and handle on our own. I mean, it's also a way, it can be interpreted as, let's take this outside if you're hostile about it. So let's say we're in a group setting. Let's say there's 15 of us on a call. And, you know, you and Jimmy don't agree on something. Or maybe Jimmy's just like asking questions and ruining your presentation. You get to a point, you're just like, you know what, Jimmy, let's take this offline. Okay, we'll take this offline. Everybody then knows in the corporate world, okay, Jimmy, it's time to just go ahead and be quiet now. Shut up, Jimmy. Just shut up, Jimmy. And Jimmy knows that it's like a safe word. It's like, shut up, Jimmy. We're taking us offline. He knows he needs to shut down, write down his and hit it later so you can finish your presentation. Because the rest of the group obviously knows what's happening or is, playing Tetris or running on a treadmill and isn't even listening to the call.
So wait, that's what that means?
Take this offline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, see, funny. I think I called one meeting on me once. Let's take it offline.
Oh, you actually have had that called on you?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I said, no, I'm good.
Like you had it in a meeting? Nah.
Yeah.
Somebody said it to you?
Oh, yeah, no, because this guy was arguing.
But you didn't know what it meant.
No.
I wouldn't have either, to be honest with you.
No, this guy over there was like arguing with me, and I'm like, and he was sounding like dumb. He was dumb. He made himself sound so dumb. So the other person's like, hey, Doug, we always take this offline. I'm like this. Oh, I'm good. Go ahead. What are you saying over there? And the guy was like, and I'm like, and I'm like, go ahead. And like he just kept going and going and going. And like this other person's like, no, we're good. Let's take it offline. I'm like, no. Let him finish. Let him. What do you guys say? And then I was like, at the end, I looked around the group. I'm like, anybody else have any questions? Like, it's awesome.
Oh, that is great. I mean, that is great. Yeah, but I mean, and you didn't know about it. I didn't know about it before I got it again from Brand because she's over there with the corporate jargon. You can barely understand her sometimes. She's just spouting off all these corporate things, and they're spouting them back. And I'm just like, whoa. But yeah, it's one of the things they use. It's just a way of keeping the meeting on track. It's like get sidetracked. You know, you mentioned something, you're talking, and somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I saw my dog do that the other day." It's a way of being like, let's keep the train on the tracks here, folks. Take that offline. We're just going to stay on topic here. It's a way to kind of keep everybody focused on what you're talking about and bookmark, what you need to talk about outside to go along with it.
I have a new segment, and we're going to do. I'm going to take a week off of the stores. You're going to watch the stores. I'm going to join in on an online only job, like a work from home job, and just torpedo corporate meetings.
Oh, that actually would be refreshing. It'd be fun to Today was the ultimate torpedo day. But anyways, we'll save that for another day.
But hey, boys, save your torpedoes, because up next, we have Lena Keares and her family's business, K&S Games, right here in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, talking about what she does and coming back from the big city.
Remember the thrill of your first childhood game, maybe tic-tac-toe? Genuine Pennsylvania Skill Games recaptures that excitement, offering easy-to-play, win-every-time experiences at your favorite local spots. Imagine a game where a little skill consistently turns credits into cash prizes. A game you can enjoy with others and even help them win. No need to just imagine. Genuine Pennsylvania Skill Games, championed by the PA Skill Alliance, are real. Go to paskillalliance.org for more information.
Hi, everyone. Super excited today. I'm here with Lena Keares, and today we're talking about the transition and make most of your guys' heads spin out of control. We're going to take her from the streets of Philly, San Francisco, Chicago, high business, high suits, pantsuits every day, to the local Lancaster County area business, K&S Games, where she works with her three cohorts and her father in a business that helps keep entertainment local right here in Pennsylvania. Welcome to the show, Lena.
Thanks, guys. Happy to be with you. Excited to be on the podcast.
Well, Lena, it's really great to have you on the show. We met in Hershey, great energy there. I was like, man, but it's funny, we talked about, a little bit about your background, being Greek. And the first time that I saw you on any kind of a call, I was like, man, she's got to be Greek. I said, she's got to be Greek. And, it turns out my Greek dar was on.
Lo and behold, you found out I was Greek, and you were right. I was saying most people don't really realize I am Greek. I get everything under the sun but Greek. I get Israeli, I get Italian, I get everything. Hispanic, but I'm really glad you knew, because most people just think about my big fat Greek wedding and the actors that play in it, and they're like, does Lena fit in there? Yes, no, are you Greek? So I even get Amish. I get Amish before I get Greek because I live in Lancaster County. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, obviously they've never seen an Amish person. I mean, I've seen a lot of Amish in my life, and I've never seen one that looks remotely Greek.
Yes.
So, Lena, take us to the beginning. So you grew up in the business a little bit, or did it happen later on?
Well, so when I was born and raised in Lancaster, my dad was in the restaurant and bar business. So he started out with jukeboxes, and remember the Mega Touch machines? I mean, they're slowly coming to a complete end because they're not making their parts anymore. But he started having those in our garage. So he would put 100 credits. My cousins would have sleepovers with us, and we weren't on naked photo hunt at the age of 11, but, breaking bricks and solitaire, and we were doing all the things. It was the best. And then he started getting into pinball machines and pool tables and getting more into the amusement side. And then I went to college in Philadelphia. So he was more in the bar and restaurant, and then he started the amusement, but more so when I started getting into high school.
It's funny you said about recalling that as a kid, because my one neighbor as a kid, Doug might remember this, but he was still running around with the diaper on at the time, so he probably doesn't remember. But my one neighbor, who was also, his daughter was our babysitter, and he worked for Pepsi Bottling, and he had this old school bottle machine below the garage, and it was like us kids, it was great. For a quarter, you could get an 8-ounce bottle of pop. no wonder we were always in trouble, man. We were always literally all hopped up on Mountain Dew. so, so I can relate to like how cool it was to have. Not every kid got an opportunity to have, a contraption like either the one you had access to or the one I had access to around us. So that creates some excitement.
Yeah, it was the best. I mean, I think when I moved away, obviously my parents wanted me to be, it's like every ethnic parent. You can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be an accountant, you can be in finance. And I was like, international law, and got into school, and I'm like, I don't think this is for me. So I really like the consulting side of international business, but I graduated during the economic recession. So here it is, 2007. I don't have like accounting or finance. I have international business, pre-law, and a minor in Spanish. And I'm thinking, what the heck am I going to do? So I did a lot of interviews. I worked at a restaurant. I moved back home to figure out what my next path was. And a lot of people were like, you got to get into sales. It's like, if it's on your resume, everyone's going to want to hire you. So I got into copier sales. So I was true door to door, sneaking into buildings in Philly, people chasing me, like, just in my office, and just trying to get them out of their leases, save them money, and put in our equipment. And then I got into pharmaceutical sales for 4 years. And then the industry was dying. It was becoming super regulated. And I was like, I need a change. And luckily from there, I got into the software world. So I was managing enterprise clients for a ton of marketing, social. So I did like brand awareness. I did email campaigns, all of that. So Marketo, Adobe, Sprinkler Outreach. I had a ton. So I started in Philly. Then I moved to San Francisco-based company. Eventually moved to Chicago because that was my dream. Because if you've ever been to Chicago in the summer, there's no better place. From Chicago, I worked for a company that was based out of New York for a little, and then I ended up working for a company in Seattle. So I spent some time on the West Coast and came back right before COVID. And then I was in Philly for a bit, and I was at a place, I was kind of at a crossroads where I knew the software company I was at, I was managing a team that was overseeing our enterprise business, and the company just wasn't a good fit. And you know really quick, they say like, this is either right for me or it's not. So ramping is not fun at any job. So I thought, okay, am I going to start looking for another software company, or am I going to help my dad? Because at the time, my dad was going through kind of a hard time and needed help. And I was like, well, do you want me to come help you? And his biggest concern was, Lena, you have a cush job. You're doing really well. I don't know what's going to happen with skill games. Like, I don't want you to give that up. Come here. And then the next thing you know, we may be illegal. And I'm like, well, the good news is I have plenty of contacts. I have experience. So I'm happy to come work with you. And then if you don't want, I'll go work for a software company, whatever you want. If I need to go back, I can go back in if I need. So he's like, can you give me time to think about it? I'm like, you got 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Figure it out because I need to make a move. So 3 weeks pass, and literally my dad's like, so when are you starting? I'm like, oh, is that how you're going to tell me I'm coming on board? So I called my sisters, and it was like a pretty quick decision. It wasn't, I didn't give it a ton of thought. I just thought, well, I've kind of uprooted my life so many times, different cities, different roles. My dad is the most amazing person. Is he ever going to steer me wrong? Am I going to learn? Yep. So my sister calls me and I'm telling her, she's like, what? Have you thought this through? Are you out of your mind? Like, I'm dating in the city, so I'm going out all the time. And I was like, yeah. I was like, none of these dates have been great. I was like, I am so ready for like something new. I was going to help dad. She's, so where are you going to live? I'm like, I'm not sure, which I ended up living with my parents for a little. Really hard, guys. Really hard to go from living on your own. Would you do it? Would you go? What time are you going to come home? And yeah. And then I started working with my dad in May of 2022. And it was awesome. I mean, crazy. I think the first 6 months I thought, oh my gosh, did I make the wrong decision? And then everything was amazing from there. It's just a learning curve.
Lena, we have a very similar story in the fact that I was actually working the family business, and then I went down south to Virginia to chase Lindsay, and I was down there for 4 years, and I bought a house. I was working 2 full-time jobs, and I remember I came home Father's Day weekend, and I was at Racetown Lake, and I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna be honest with you. He's like, what, son? I'm like, I hate it in Virginia. I suck. I don't suck at it, but like, I'm working all this time. If I'm gonna work that hard, this is gonna work for you because I make a little bit more money and hang out with my family. And I got the job back, but coming home was wild because my wife was still living in Virginia at the time, Lindsay, for over 6 months, working down there, and I was staying in my parents' basement. So it was funny because, like we said, it's the 8 o'clock monster. At 8 o'clock every night, they get in a fight, and I'd be downstairs, and I'd be like, I almost want to get like the broom and start hitting the ceiling, and like, guys, it's every night, and like, so like, oh my god, I came home, and I'm like, and then Ryan's there, so Ryan's married at the time, and his wife's in the business. So there's that kind of like animosity, and like all of a sudden, here comes Doug, and everybody's like, Doug's back, and like,
Well, the exact words were, the prodigal son has returned.
Not everybody was a fan.
Yeah, it took a while, But I'll tell you one thing, though, and this is a question I have for you. Like Doug coming back, I mean, it wasn't like he came back to a hero's welcome. I mean, it's like, wait a minute here. This guy's just going to come rolling into the business. And there was definitely, like, we're like smiling about it now, but I mean, there was some serious family back and forth on the situation. I mean, it got sticky for a long time. But I will say this, like I went to school, went to Shippensburg, but I worked for Dad in the family business while I was working there. My internship was there. I worked for Dad the whole time through, coming out 20 years at that point. And so that's all I knew was helping Dad, working with Dad.
Yes.
And Doug, though, with his corporate experience, he went out, he got that corporate experience. He learned their programs. He learned how they did things. And he brought that back. And looking back, and we've said it in the cast in previous episodes, it really like re-energized us because it gives a whole new perspective, help us get more organized, help us to get better conditions. I mean, so from in your standpoint, were you able to, and a lot of the times he had to infiltrate it into our system. It wasn't like we were like, oh, please tell us about everything that you've done. It was like, he had to like, it was like, he was like Perry Mason trying to, prove a case up there, trying to get us to budge on the littlest things, but he kept at it. Is there some items like that you brought back that you kind of infiltrated into your business?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think the biggest shock for me was when I went from software to everything being on paper. Like all collections were on paper. And I was like, what? Like the amount of manual, like I literally was like, this is nuts. Like there could be so much manual error that this is not good. Also, how can you run reports? How, that's what I was used to. Showing, strategy, showing that our software works, showing that this is effective. So I think it was my second week. My dad just like off the cuff was like, yeah, there's some software that like does collections. I'm like, what? Like he's like, yeah, there's some girl. I was like, there's some girl. I say, you have her number? What's her name? And it ended up being Jen Marquez Casey from Pace, who is probably my guardian angel. And I think within the first month and a half of me being there, all of our skill games were on collections. And then about 6 months later, our entire inventory was on software. And, handheld printers, scanning, like it was night and day. I was like, no, this does not work. Like, I can't do this. I can't run it this way. I can't go through receipts at the end of the year and figure out tax forms. Like, this is nuts. So I would say that was big. I think a lot of it too was my dad did a lot of the fixing, right? So like, you have a bad power supply. My dad would literally like open up the power supply and start working on it, not just like buying parts. So he's very, very technical. So when I first started, he's like, Lena, let me teach you how to solder something. I'm like, no, Dad, we need to figure out where I can be effective. So I was going on all these collections with him. So this was kind of new to him too, because their company had an additional person, and his partner at the time was looking to retire. So he did a lot of the administrative work. So a lot of that was, okay, let's figure out who you order from, your inventory. I mean, we had some closets that looked like a bomb went off, right? So it's like, start organizing. You just become a jack of all trades in a small company. And I was very lucky that my dad kind of like gave me, he didn't say no. He didn't like shut down any of my ideas. He kind of let me run with it. So there were times where I would run things by him, and other times he's like, "You do it, sure, okay." And there was also times where I put the wrong key in the wrong lock on the first collection of the day and messed up the entire collection. He's like, "No, don't jam it in there if it doesn't fit." I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." So it's like, but he was very he. It was definitely a transition for him to teach me, because I think he teaches by showing, and I'm like, you do it too quick. I don't know this machine. I don't even know what this does. Like, so he's going in there. He's like, watch me. I'm like, okay, like, how does this? I had so many questions. He's like, no, 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 just watch. So, the beginning was just like overwhelming. And then 6 weeks into me starting with him, he went to Greece for 2 months. It's 6 weeks, 2 months. So my parents, as you know, are from Greece, and it's their happy place. They get to go see all their family, their friends. So, I knew he was looking forward to it, and he was like, "What?" He's like, "How should I leave you?" And I'm like, "Just go." Like, I'm pretty sure I blacked out and Jesus took the wheel, because I was on bar the other night. It was me and my colleague, and it was wild. Like, I literally was calling him about everything you can imagine on FaceTime. He'd be out drinking with his friends. I'm like, "Oh, we ran out of bank deposit slips. Where?" Like, whatever you name it. Like, I was like, this piece on a pool table. I'm like FaceTiming him. I'm like opening up skill games. Like, support's telling me this. I can't get in. So he's giving me guidance from Greece. And that was probably the best way to learn.
Well, it's funny how you say that. Our parents, and especially my dad, was the same way. And I'm glad you brought that up, because, like, I remember when I was like learning the business, it wasn't like a very cultured, like, step-by-step process of like,
Yeah.
you know what, hey, we're gonna do this first, and we're gonna do this second. This is why we do it, and we're gonna let you make a lot of mistakes. Dad was like, "Doc, what are you doing over there?" I'm like, "Dad, I'm just trying to fix." He's like, "Why?" He's like, "That's dumb." And I'm like, "Dad, but we need
Get back here and start packing chicken.
Yeah,
do
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Do something constructive. Quit playing around with whatever you're playing around
Oh my
with.
God. When Ryan started the Facebook stuff, and like dad would be like, "You guys are always on your computers. You need to get back there and stuff some chicken or grind some meat." I'm like, "But Dad, this is our mouthpiece." He's like, "That's dumb."
Yeah, him and my uncle called us. They were like playboys. They were like, "Hey, quit being a bunch of playboys over there playing on your phone. Get over here and pack some more chicken." Like, we're like, guys, we just reached 9,000 customers. They're like, "Well, that's not why the sales are up. The sales are up is because we heated up the ads." And we're like, okay, you took it from 89 cents a pound to 88 cents a pound drumsticks. I don't think that's going to bring 500 more people a day into the store. Just saying. It was like this whole unbelievable back and forth.
We have no trauma because of it.
No, there's nothing. I'm perfectly fine.
I'm a bit jealous. So when I came, I have two sisters, so I'm in the middle. My oldest sister is an accountant, so she helps a little bit with her bookwork before we take it to our CPA, balance stuff out. And then my little sister moved back, and she has 2 kids. And I was like, all right, she's gonna come work with me. I was hyped. I was like, my sister, my best friend. And then she found out she was pregnant. I'm like, no! And he's the cutest little nugget in the world, and I wouldn't replace it. However, her life, like, she'll come help when I'm taking a trip or for a couple hours if I need her. And she's great, but I love that you guys work together, and I have a little bit of FOMO. I wish I had that.
Yeah, you can still have it. I came back later in life.
I don't ever want to live it in my parents' basement. I don't know what wood to knock on. I don't have any here.
So, As I was reading through it, now did your dad come up with this, or do you guys just call him as? Is it Hefe?
Oh, I call Mel Jefe. Yes. So my dad speaks a little bit of Spanish because when he used to own um, restaurants and bars, he was in like a pretty predominantly Hispanic area, the city, where my sister was actually. I'm trying to think if I was born there and came as a baby to our new home. So like I think they even called my mom Mr. John. It was really funny. Like so here are these Greek immigrants. They're calling my mom Mr. John. She's helping him as she can. And yeah, my dad will sometimes just break out certain Spanish words. So in school, that was my minor. So I would just call him the boss. I'm like Jefe, Pops. There's a few names, but the Jefe stands because yeah, he usually never gives bad advice. He usually never ever gives bad advice. So he is the ultimate Jefe.
It's awesome, the boss.
That is awesome. I think that movie, Daddy's Home. Have you seen the movie Daddy's Home, the Christmas movie with
Whoa.
Mark Wahlberg? Oh, it's amazing. Mark Wahlberg's in it, and Will Ferrell. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's a must watch this coming
Okay.
holiday season. Daddy's Home and Daddy's Home too. But anyways, Mel Gibson plays a grandfather role, and Mel Gibson's a pretty cool guy. So he doesn't just want to go by Pappy or Pap or anything like that. It's too cool. He's too cool for that. So they call him El Padre.
Oh,
So like I keep joking around with my kids. I'm like, I think I want to be El Padre. So I always like when there's like a name that sticks out. It's pretty cool.
You guys have pretty lofty goals. I just don't want to be dead.
it could happen. You got mine.
We're looking at hopefully at least 23, 24 more years for you.
I got to update you. I just had the doctor yesterday. Said not look good. No good, Mr. Sprankle. So Lena, you came back to the business, learning the obviously skill games, and obviously we're big supporters of skill games, genuine skill games powered by Pacematic. For the people who don't understand, from an operator standpoint, you obviously help a lot of people have access to skill games, manage that piece of it. Walk us through some of that and some of your, obviously stories that you've successes that have helped your community grow.
Yeah. I think the best thing about working in a small business that's family owned is all your customers become your family. You're very close to them. There's open communication. There's an issue or an asked phone call. There's no red tape. You don't have to call 18 people. You just call one person. So I think when I first started and I was doing the collections, I was going out to all these customers and getting to know them, majority of them. Obviously, my colleague was doing the other route. So sometimes I'd pick up his. And you just learn about the struggles of owning a business. And people are pretty transparent. Like, hey, summers are really rough for us. I don't know how we're going to make it through. We need, you name it, a new stove, new flooring, new roof. Did you see the bar? Like, every customer is very, very open about their issues, their concerns. And then they're also really great about also giving accolades. So I came in and I knew skill games where before, when I started, they still had not become legal. So they were legal in the one part of Pennsylvania, but we had not gotten the ruling that they were legal across PA. So when I started, I came in not knowing a lot legislatively and, going to these places and doing collections, and people are just telling me like, these help keep our doors open. These help offset my costs for overtime, or help me stay competitive with hiring employees because I could not do it before. And you realize how important that is, because if COVID happened, right, they were instrumental in their business. They've told me about that. The rise of like smartphones, online betting, smartphones for any types of games that aren't betting. Like, people are just always on their phones, right? So even mega touches, before they started to become, depleted at that, or, going out of existence, but you saw people shift away from the machines at the pinballs, the jukeboxes. There's some, but not as much. And skill games kept the industry alive. So on that end, for us, it helped us. But then we could help keep other businesses alive. And it's just very interesting because we're in this place with current legislation where it could become illegal if the Supreme Court decides that they want to appeal our legality, or two, there's certain legislators that want to tax us out of existence and really hurt us. And that will hurt the entire community. That will have a downward spiraling effect to our fraternal clubs, our veterans clubs, which a lot of them are very transparent about their hurt for membership. And that if you go into one, they're incredible. The drinks are cheap. So, it's not like they're charging $10 a cocktail. So it hurts. It hurts when they don't have supplemental income from skill games to support their business. And it's pretty incredible to not only be a provider of skill games, or an operator, shall I say, that helps that, but also they have a charitable giving arm. So we can also do charitable events with them. So we donate money, Base donates money. I mean, I mentioned this in one of our receptions is you really feel like Oprah. You're like, wow, and I'm not even giving on that level, but you give $1,000 and $2,000 to Veterans Club, that makes a substantial difference. You give $4,000 in pay-somatic matches that to $8,000 for new equipment that they would have had to do 10 fundraisers for. That's awesome. And if I can keep doing that, I will keep doing that. And I hope the way, things continue in Pennsylvania and all the efforts that we've all been putting in will come through, and, we'll be taxed at a fair rate that we are regulated, but we stay alive. So.
Now the Hershey Club I was in, was that one of your places?
No, the Hershey Club was not mine. We have, most of ours are in Lancaster. We have some through Coatesville and then Harrisburg, but we don't have any in Hershey. I want to say that was Willie's customer.
Okay. I thought it was cool too. One of the things that I don't hear very often, and Ron, we talk about skill games all the time, is the keeping the culture alive. Like that's the Italian club. I mean, what a great plate of meatballs, man. I was like, I just drove that day. Like, here's what's crazy about that day. And Krista, our producer, helped us out with this. I literally was at a party in Atlanta, Georgia that night, shooting shots of bourbon and playing cards till like 2:00 in the morning. Got on the flight, got to Pittsburgh. Producer picked me up, drove me to the Italian club. I spoke to the Italian club, drove me back to my place, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, right there is amazing.
That was crazy. I was like, it was fun though. We had a good time. He did very well speaking, and then obviously learned a lot about the local firefighters, man. The one firefighter so I was really impressed with. We're trying to get the guy as a guest, but somebody stole their jaws of life.
Yeah.
Somebody stole their jaws of life, which is like a $3,000 machine. And at that point, they had to do 100 of these different fundraisers to make up that money that, they replaced with having, genuine Pennsylvania skill games in their location. And, that's the kind of money that you can't just get because, let's face it, grants are hard to get. Having access to government money is very hard for most of us normal people. Some have a lot of access for some reason. But in general, it's a very difficult thing. And so it helps a lot of people. And so, with your organization, I mean, you've also seen beyond just the legislative, you've seen the growth of the different styles of skill game, including the newest rendition, which is, I'm a huge fan of. I like that the Atlantis game is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. We just bought, and in full transparency, you said that Lena's games, but I don't really play guys. I'm like, you real. I don't know. I'll go through, I'll ask customers what their favorite games are. It's not my thing. I prefer to stick to photo hunt.
I'm a simple girl,
But I don't know. I when I go to bars, I just prefer to, hang with my peeps, catch up for a little, and then head out. But I mean, there are a lot of new games that are coming out, the new software, and I ask when I go in, and it's funny because I get a lot of traction from females, like a lot of women at our veterans clubs or fraternal wars, or I'll see them sitting, and I'm like, "What do you like?" She's like, "Oh, I was like, okay." So I'll ask a little bit. And I don't remember each person's favorite game, but I'll just ask, and sometimes I'll send it over to Base. And
Hey, Lena, going back to joining the family business, this just came to me. When you join the family business, I mean, I'm picturing, you know, you out taking over the corporate world, you know, probably dressed to the nines every day, makeup, looking good, you know, just the look, the big city corporate look. And, you know, you got the Greek aura going, and all of a sudden you come back and, you know, it's a different vibe in the operator world, in the club world, in the restaurant world, grocery store world. I mean, you know, we're laid back. I mean, we wear t-shirts and jeans every day and a hat. And so, you know, the corporate armor, so to speak, versus El Jefe's dress code. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes, that you hit on a great point. So it's funny because even in the same role in different cities, it's so different. So I think I'm always prepared for a little like, oh, I do not fit in right now. So when I first worked in Philly, everybody in Philly would dress up, you know, like happy hours at the end of the day. You were customer facing, makeup's done, hair's done every day. Like I never, I never went into the office without makeup. Ever. It was like I started my career in sales. So I was like, no way. So I go to the West Coast, right? I get my second software gig there. And I remember training. I was training in San Francisco for 3 months. So I have my blazers, my skirts. I'm walking into the office in my heels. And I'm like, good morning, hello. And like, it's West Coast. You know how they call it like the Seattle calls it the Seattle freeze. Like, there's so many engineers there, they don't talk to you. They just kind of look at you, you know, and I would walk in and it took me like a month to break in. And I'm like, what is it with you people? They're like, you know, you're always looking nice. I'm like, as opposed to you were in the same role, you know, they're like in jeans, like fleece, like, and I'm like, okay. So I still stuck to my guns and I did that through my entire career. So I come back, I'm working at K&S. Obviously, I want to make a good impression on our customers. It was like my first week. I get dolled up, do my hair, put my makeup on, like high waisted jeans, a really fitted crop top, and I come into work. And my dad, okay, there's two different types of dads, right? There's the dad that like very overprotective, make comments all the time about what you wear. My dad was never like that. My dad is a very easygoing, plus like my mom held down the fort. If there was something inappropriate, we knew and we changed really quick. So, you know, it wasn't like what I was wearing was like crazy. I come in and he just looks at me and he just goes, no. I go, what do you mean no? He goes, no. I said, no what? He goes, all of it. All of it. The hair, the makeup, your clothes. I was like, what? He's like, too tight. I don't like it. No makeup. Put your hair up. No. And I'm like, what am I, is this my grandfather speaking to me? My mom's dad. And he just was like, Lena, not everybody is a normal person in you know, when you go to service calls in these locations. I don't want them looking at my daughter like that. And I'm like, so I'm like calling my sisters and I'm like, what are you wearing? I'm like, well, I look like a phys ed teacher every day now because dad has literally shot down my entire wardrobe. So I'm like basically coming in, I would go to yoga. I mean, the silver lining was I could go right to the gym afterward. But yeah, I go into the office today not looking like this. This is a rare occurrence and yeah, less pressure, quicker for me to get to the office. But it was so funny. He literally just looked at me and said, you know.
No.
The great thing about that is, I mean, you know, as a guy with a 21-year-old daughter, you know, I can attest. So he was saying no, but that was like his ultimate. I'm trying to be chill and calm about this situation. Really, he was looking at you and he was thinking about what he would think if you weren't his daughter. And it's like alarms are going off, like in his head. It's like the little movie where the guys are in the head. He's like, alarms are going off. Stop this right now. This can't happen. Like, so his chilled down version was the firm no, but in his head, I'm sure it was like, oh, man, he was picturing guys looking at you walking into these places, and it probably gave him. It was probably the closest. If he's never experienced panic and anxiety, he got a dose of it when he saw you dressed like that, probably.
Yes, but I will say to his defense, I was on call one weekend, and you know, calls like crapshoot. Like is this going to be a smooth weekend, or is my phone going to blow up? So I was out. I think I was I want to look nice today. I dress in athleisure. I'm a gym coach pretty much. So I was like, I want to look nice. I put makeup on, get my hair done, wear shorts. I look nice. I'm going around the city. It was a pretty day. And I get a service call, and it's a pool table. So I'm like on my hands and knees. And there's these two guys having beers, and I'm like, can I help you? And they're like, oh no, we're just enjoying the view. I'm like, oh. Wow. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I know, Dad. I know I should have dressed in sweats in a freaking big hoodie, but yeah, there you go. He was not wrong.
Hey, the Hefe always gives good advice.
He does though. He does. He gives a lot of sayings, and I can never remember all of them. But a lot of my customers, when I go in, will ask. My dad doesn't do collections anymore, and he'll help a lot. Every once in a while, he'll go in with me, or he'll say something. But they're like, your dad, he said this one saying. And I was like, and they'll remember it, and all of them laugh. What's your dad do? He's great. You tell him we said hi. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Well, the dad saying thing, you just struck a chord there because it's a reminder, Doug. I've been wanting to tell you about this. We need to do this because anybody that's worked with their dads, and let's face it, it can be stressful, it can be tricky, but it's a blessing to be able to spend that much time with your father. I mean, it's a real blessing. Not many people get that opportunity after they graduate college, other than the occasional round of golf or meet for lunch or something like that. So it's a real blessing. But our dad, sounds like similar to your dad. He's got all these like some are really good, some are really cool, some are just crazy ass expressions and sayings. And so like I've always every time he says one of them, especially now, as they get older, you start to take it a little more seriously. It has a little more meaning every time they say it. And so I'm always like, man, we need to be writing these down. Like I almost think we need a weekly segment of like Randy's saying of the week, similar to your dad. It's so cool, isn't it, to be able to be around them and hear these things over and over again and have it become their saying.
Yes. And I'll say to my sisters, and we'll crack up. And I was like, oh, you'll never guess what happened today at work. And it's just like, I feel like I'm on a reality show sometimes. When I lived in Philly, it was a different type of reality show, right? And now it's like a whole nother level, and you have to laugh. And you're right. Like, you don't want to lose these expressions because they're gold. For our customers, he said, your dad told me some of the funniest things I've ever heard. I'm like, right, what did my dad tell you, But yeah, I need to write it down too, though. Got to make a little book with the Hefe sayings,
Oh no, Hefe sayings. I see it now. It was funny. When you said that, I'm thinking Dad always says, let's get to the rat killing. It's literally like, cut the crap. Let's just get to where we need to get to. And that's what it's going to be. And so your father is also an amateur photographer, I hear. I hear he took the first picture, which you sent of, you and a year later, your husband.
Yes. So my dad, my husband sat next to me in the limo on the way to the wedding. He was so wonderful and a gentleman. And he was wiping down every drink so there was no condensation to drip on anybody's dresses. So he's handing it to all these people, and I'm watching him. We're talking, and he's like, do you want another drink? And at this point, I think I had one. And I'm like, you know what? I haven't eaten all day. I actually have to give a speech. So no, I'm going to hold off till I eat some food and give my speech. And he's like, all right. So say you give your speech. What do you want to drink? I don't know. Tequila. I was like, glass of rosé. He was like, okay. So I go give my speech. I sit down. I'm eating my dinner, and I feel a tap on my shoulder. And my husband hands me a glass of wine, and he says, you did amazing. He's like, I loved your speech. So I said, let me give you a hug. So I go to give him a hug. I said, thank you for my wine. Saved me a dance. So me, my little sister, and my dad are on the dance floor. We're just dancing, three of us. And I feel a tap on my hip. And I'm like, I'm like turning around, and my husband is loaded. Like, I don't even know how many old fashions he had, but he's like, I'm like, what did this guy say? So my little sister I had my phone and a cocktail in my hand. So she grabs them for me, And I guess my dad swiped my phone from my sister and he was spinning me. I was like a rag doll, just throwing me around, turning me in and out. And my dad took the first couple pictures of me and my husband, which is hilarious, but also like it means a lot, you know?
Now, does he keep a picture on his desk so that every time your husband comes into the workplace, he's like, hey, I remember this picture here, you know, my daughter, you're lucky I let you date her.
No, nope. Didn't even. My dad is so not like that. It's so funny because I think everybody else probably would, but he's like, and he'll just. My dad goes to give my husband 6'4". My dad now is probably closer to like 5'9", 5'10", and he goes to give him a hug, and it is like the cutest thing. And Greeks kiss, so like he kisses him on the cheek and he hugs him, and it's just like the cutest thing in the world to watch. So I love it.
Well, I got a question for you, Lena, because we're to the point in our careers. You said, I think what did you say? How old did you say you were? I don't like to misquote
I'm
these
41.
days. Yeah. Okay. There we go. I'm 45 and I'm
Yeah.
almost 46.
I'm 39.
So, and we're in the same spot as you, second generation business. We started off as kids in the business, then, kind of like learning the business, and now we're running the business. And people all of a sudden are turning to us for answers, and especially like other people that are maybe younger, maybe in their early 30s at a family business, kind of look to us for like sage advice. How do we survive this? How do we get to the next level? All that, kind of stuff, ins and outs. From your perspective, like, you've went from the daughter in the business, running on, whatever, while he's in Greece for 6 weeks right after you came in, or 2 weeks or 2 months. And how did you go? What advice would you give them as far as like, how you've gotten to where you are, and what should they be thinking about or working towards to get ready to take over?
Ooh.
The second generation people, like what's the biggest
Okay.
thing? Like,
Well, I think having a strong network. So I have right now I have 2 employees. At the time I had my dad and a great employee. And I knew the work ethic was there, the knowledge was there. So I could learn from them. I don't think I think that was the first. Like I knew I could learn from Pace, if I called the sport team, right? And then I could learn from my people, and they were there to look after me. That was my first. My second is don't be afraid to mess up. It's just gonna happen, and you just hope it's on a smaller scale. And I think giving grace is really important. Accepting and giving is very important because I think when you're a perfectionist and you want to do good, when your dad's kicked butt and you want to fill his shoes and you're like, oh man, like I got to give myself some grace. I've only been doing this for a little bit. My dad's been doing this. He has a lifetime advice. And I think curiosity is really important. I think um, being okay to say I don't know something and like how do you do that, or what do you think is the best way, or you come across sometimes an error with the machine, and sometimes people think, oh, I know how to do that, and it's like, or you could just call the support team and you might know what to do, but maybe you're missing something, and they will help me and I'll learn something else, or another error or something pops up and I figure that out. So I also feel like I've asked a lot of, they say there are no dumb questions. Okay, there might be some dumb questions, but I still ask them because at the end of the day, like I do think other people are thinking them, and it's going to help me. And whatever, if I'm going to be the person, fine, that's cool. But other people will learn too, because I think where you'll go to some operator meetings and you'll see like that's the cool thing about this industry is it's multi-generational families, like the great grandfather and then the grandfather and the kids and now the great it's amazing. Like mine was my dad, but it goes further. So like these kids grew up doing way more than I did, so like they just know. I don't know. So I'm like, or people who just got into the industry that are breaking in, they have no idea. So for me, I don't. So I ask questions, and yeah, I hope. But yeah, I have big shoes to fill. So I definitely ask a lot of questions. I ask for help, and yeah, that usually guides me to learning more, being better, asking if people are good. Yeah.
Well, that's great advice. And I'm so glad that you said that last part, because I think a lot of people, even I can speak for myself early on in my career, you want to have this like perception that you know all the answers, that you have all the answers, that you're strong. You don't want to look weak, and you don't want to be the guy that asks the dumb question. But like to your point, that's so critical, I think, for young
Yeah.
people in business. There is no dumb question, and anybody that's been through it is going to respect the fact, even if it is in their minds a dumb question, they're going to
Yeah.
respect the fact that you're looking to learn, that you're looking to get better, that you're comfortable enough to maybe ask a bad question. And we had a mentor of ours through our warehouse. We get a lot of support from our grocery warehouse, Mercer's distributors. Just they're the same as Pacematic. They offer support and they help with training and all that kind of stuff, and it's great. But we had a mentor that said that the answers to all of your questions and the next step that you should take in your business and the magic is often just like a hair above what's comfortable and known already. So just like be willing to open the mind, be willing to, look a little bit above and ask those questions, and you'll find some amazing things. And we've done that. Doug and I both have done that. And we've helped each other to see that when one couldn't see it and the other one couldn't see it. And it's really been huge for our business. So it's really cool to hear you say the same things, kind of
Yes.
reconfirms what we have experienced in our own right.
I actually have a question for you guys because I'm thinking about, the software or the vending and the amusement world, and I'm thinking, when you take on a grocery store, like, what is the hardest? What like I've heard some of your podcasts about like like the generator goes out or you need backups and like what do you get out first? How do you take care of it? How do you figure it out quick and keep your produce and all your goods good to sell, right? Because that's a huge loss if they melt or meat goes bad or not. But what do you think was like the biggest department or learn that you had in a grocery store? Like, what was the hardest thing?
It's funny when I left the business the first time, and I was like, yeah, I can't stand this. It's crazy. I'm getting out of here. What I was really running from was the lifestyle choice. So like, as you experience when you're in business, it's no longer just like I'm got 9 to 5. It's a life choice, right? So
Yeah.
like lately, Ryan and I have been experiencing a lot of difficulties in our stores just like some refrigeration issues, power outages, changing of culture, me and him fighting about dumb stuff, whatever it may be. And I saw this like a long time ago. It's called embrace the suck, right? Like if it's you gotta like take it on and know it's gonna be bad, but nobody else is gonna do it. And the responsibility you have not only just to your crew, to your community. I mean, as a grocery retailer, you are the last stop as a grocery retailer as the food for the community. And so it's a huge responsibility because we both know the odds are maybe our kid gets involved or not, but not, for our career, we have a huge responsibility. And so if we're not willing to step up every single day and meet it where it is and embrace the suck, we're going to be out of business because at the end of the day, we can't fix that attitude that like, I'm going to stare this hurricane in the face. I'm going to be right there with you. And so when I embraced that feeling, the people that surrounded me in the store had the same kind of attitude. They wouldn't let each other down or us down. And that community of people becomes like this wolf pack. And so when we get new people into the wolf pack, if they don't have that attitude or don't figure out pretty quick, they're out. And so to the same point, I think for me, it was about understanding the importance of culture in your business and being that leader that stares down the hurricane and is willing to be right with you. It's funny. 2 days ago, I was out there snaking drains out, and I went down to Leechburg and did some stuff down there. I had to lift a 500-pound freezer today. Like embracing the suck and enjoying it.
And for me, I'll tell you, Lena, that's a great question. For me, it's the just management of the levels. Like honestly, like yesterday we had you just said we had a power outage at Leechburg. Yesterday I decided there's just some days you just gotta say, okay, this day is gonna be a long day, but it's gonna help tomorrow be a better day. So you just kind of have to like write it off as a work day. And yesterday was like that for me. I started like 5:15. I was checking emails, drinking coffee and my skivvies, just sitting at the kitchen table, grinding, and hurry up, got
Yeah.
dressed, threw some water in my face, made sure there wasn't anything in my teeth, and then went to work. That kind of a day. And it went all day like that. And then at 5:40, right before, I just like, okay, I got to stop today. I got to stop. I got to go home. And just then power goes out. So then what do? I just keep grinding all night. In our world, to your point, the challenge is there's so many moving parts. You got 25,000 SKUs. You got 100 employees. You got thousands of things that could break at any moment and cause utter catastrophe if it's not addressed right now. And you got all these moving pieces. And then you got to also learn, try to manage your crew, try to give them what they need from you, try to be home for your family, try to think next level, try to move the business into the next level while dealing with all these moving parts. So you got all these pieces in your life that you're trying to give max to every one of them. For me, the biggest thing is the time management end of it and the prioritizing. And so like that is the challenge. And, because you want to be perfect, you want to be great. And you could, like yesterday, I worked from 5:15 to 9:30. And you know what? I still didn't get everything done. So it's just that's the challenge. You got to kind of fight it. My wife helps me with the regulation. She'll be like, dude, you realize you've went 7 straight days, 13 hours, and we haven't seen you. And I'm like, oh, shucks. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the correction. Noted. It's a balance.
Yeah. Yeah. It is balance. That's really cool. I mean, I think about it and I'm like, whenever you think about your industry, or maybe I don't know, I do this a lot. I think, wow, like I have it pretty good because it gets way more complicated in your world because there are expiration dates and there, like you said, there's a ton of SKUs. Like you think about our product lines, they're way smaller than yours. And I don't know. I do believe in manifestation. And so when you have like crappy days, you need to turn it around. Or I do think more bad things just happen if you're in that mindset. And yeah, it's pretty amazing that you guys are fulfilling that and taking over your dad's business. So kudos.
Well, thanks for that. But at the same time, why'd you have to? There was about 4 things that you mentioned there in the last 2 times you've spoken, which we appreciate, obviously. But you put 4 more things into my mind other than what was already in my list, and like, but that's okay. It's okay because it's all part of it. But there's a lot to manage. Yes.
Yeah, I mean it is, but it is awesome, and I'm sure. So when your kids come into the store, they like, Dad, can we just grab this? Can we just have this? Like, how does this work? Do you say no? Do you say just one thing? And what are your favorite things that you just like off the racks?
Well, it's funny because what people don't realize in the grocery business, you pay for it twice. So when you originally buy the inventory, if you start taking stuff off the shelf, you screw up obviously, you're a numbers person too. You screw up your sales and everything else. But more importantly, you're embezzling from your company. Okay. So literally we have to put it on a charge and then pay for it twice.
Well, just to correct them, we're not embezzling from our company. Well, I will say this though, generations change. And as Doug would say, allegedly, 2 generations ago, because we're not going to incriminate my father. He's been straight-laced the whole way, baby. But 2 generations ago, which we didn't have families, so we can talk about this. 2 generations ago, there may or may not have been the occasional owner, opens up register 5 every Friday, puts it on test mode, cash only, brings out about $5,000 worth of groceries, and goes to the track. You know what I mean? Like, there may have been those kind of situations. There may have been owners taking groceries at night. We play it safe though, because one thing Doug and I share, we don't share a lot of the same fears, but we do both share a fear of prison. So
yeah. That's a hard one. I'm just asking, like, is it maybe a pack of peanut M&Ms? I'm not asking for like your whole grocery list, but is there something that you can call on this shelf?
My number one favorite item in the entire store is Nutter Butters.
Nutter Butters.
Yeah, like the family pack Nutter Butters. And like it's weird because I don't like it with milk because I'm a little bit lactose intolerant, but I love it with just like a coffee or water.
Ooh,
So like,
coffee.
yeah.
Mine's definitely, it's hands down. If the doc told me, hey, dude, you know, you got about 3 months regardless, so just do whatever you want. I literally would be like, if you saw me right now, I would be while doing this interview, I'd be just dipping Oreos, double stuffed, one after another. I mean, I'd be like, oh yeah, well, you know, it'd be ridiculous. I mean, I'm an Oreo. It's not good. A tray of Oreos, no. I don't even want to have one. I had one as a sample on the cast a couple of months ago, and the whole rest of the cast, I couldn't focus because it was like calling me.
So Liam, what about your day that you love the most about like when you look like when you're doing your routes and you're doing, you know, the fixing of machines, talking to customers, what's your favorite part of the day?
Oh, I think it varies. It really does. So if I'm helping out with collections, because generally I only pick up collection, or if my colleague is on vacation now because I hired another employee, it's talking to my customers. Because like a lot of them are they just want, how you doing? How's your husband? How's life? What's new? You know, like they genuinely care, right? I love that. Ooh, um, funny things happening in the office, like my dad just making comments. Pretty special. Like my dad comes in and gives me like a big hug and a kiss in the morning, and like it's just like felt, you know, like how was your day? You need anything? No. Sometimes it's going to Costco and going wild, getting some, you know, water and beef jerky for the office and mixed nuts and, you know, having myself a day. Fortunately, I can't drive right now, so that is being transferred to my dad to get some of the stuff for our office. I don't know. It really does vary. And it's funny because, like, sometimes customers make mistakes and I have to call them and we articulate it and it turns into a really fun conversation. You know, they'll like go on and it's just like, it happens. Like, and it's just like having that connection with them to even say that is so nice, you know, like just like, and then it turned into, what are you up to? Hey, you want to do lunch? And then lunch happens, you know, like I, I will say every day is very different. And I think sometimes it's just picking up like something really little and like thinking like, wow, that actually is pretty special. Like how many people can do that or have done that or say that to you, you know, like, or say, hey, like we're having an event with the Lancaster County Food Hub. They are a charitable organization that does obviously food, clothes, and I was told about them by somebody in my church that is very involved, and she said they're incredible. And how cool is it that we get to do an event with them and donate money? Like I'm excited. I'm very excited. I volunteered for a little when I was in between jobs at one of our hospitals here. So I worked 4 days a week. And it was so funny because I was in a room one of the days with like mostly senior citizens and they thought I broke the law. They're like, what did you do to have to be there? I'm like, do you know how hard it is to volunteer at a hospital? I've gone through 2 blood works. I had to get my priest write me a letter of recommendation. Like they ran background checks on me. I did not break the law. I want to be here. But I loved it. It's really fulfilling. So I would say even like giving back to the community, like that's pretty awesome. That's a good feeling. So yeah, I would say it's a mix depending on the day, guys.
That's awesome. You know, we talked about this before the show. When I read through your entire story, I literally, my sister's a huge Hallmark fan, like huge. So like I watch probably more Hallmark episodes than most people do. But I was like, I swear, if Lena's husband's a hockey player or some kind of like, I mean, I saw a picture of the guy. I mean, you know, he's like a James Bond in a tux. I mean, the guy's stacked. So like you go from the big corporate San Francisco world, you come home, you join the family business, you get totally involved, you start giving back to the community, you get married. I mean, if that's not a movie waiting to happen, I'm not sure what is.
Oh gosh. You know, when I was in like the city days, it was always like, Lena, you gotta write a book. You gotta write a book about your dating experiences, you know? Kiss lots of frogs, never happened. And then I moved home, unbeknownst to me. I meet my husband at a wedding. Didn't think I would know. Yes, it does have a Hallmark vibe to it. I just was very lucky. I think there's something beautiful about returning home, having no expectations, but knowing you're in a good place to do right, to learn, knowing that it will never be a bad decision. How about that? And then somehow your life kind of takes off and you manifest goodness, and then you meet your husband. And I think what I was most worried about when I first met Jack, so we were when we met, he lived literally like 4 blocks where I was in Philly. I'm like, unreal. You would live in Philly when I moved to Lancaster, and I'm living with my parents. So it's so funny. But he lived, my older sister still lived in that area. So every time I go, I'd either have a date with him, see them, or vice versa. And I think my biggest concern was, oh my gosh, is he going to want to move to Lancaster? Like, no way, no way, you know? So we start dating. I'm working with a realtor, and like, you know, I'm hesitant because I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen with our industry. I don't know what's going to happen with this relationship. I'm literally walking into this life and just letting it see where it takes me. And that's just never been me. Like, I've been a very goal-oriented person. This is where I want to move. And literally Jesus has the wheel at this point. So I'm on a date with my husband, and he asked me, like, do you have hesitations about buying a house? I'm like, what a loaded question. I was like, I don't even know what this is. I'm enjoying it. I don't even want to put anything on it. He's like, I'm good. I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm good to move to Lancaster. And I'm like, what? And I was thinking, wow, that was the one thing I would never want to put pressure on somebody to move here. And you're going from, he was in New York and then Philly, and now you're coming to Lancaster. And I spent so much time in the cities that like, I was like, I did it. I lived in Philly, I lived in Chicago, I lived in Seattle, I lived in San Francisco. Like, I loved my experiences. I spent a ton of time in other cities traveling for work, but I'm like, I'm good. I'm ready. But like, he really said it, and I was like, oh, he's serious. And yeah, after that, you know, we knew it was very serious. And yeah, he moved in. So I will say it very much had a happy ending, like a Hallmark movie. And I was very blessed. I was very blessed.
That's a great story. And thank you for sharing with us the story and being a second generation. Lena, respect for your time. Is there anything else we didn't cover during the interview?
Ooh, I think so. I will just say, if you don't know much about skill games and how they support the community, just ask someone who has them. Ask a business owner. Ask how they help them keep their doors open. When you go vote, look for people who are not trying to tax others out of business, because it will have really detrimental effects. We're trying to keep the good fight, keep these businesses, and your dad's legacy, my dad's legacy, all these operators, their parents, their grandfathers' legacies alive, and make them proud, and in the process help the community. So I think that's the last thing I have to say. But thank you. This was awesome. I really want to come visit your grocery store. That's what I want to say. That's how I want to
come and see us.
I want to come and see you guys. I need my driving foot to get better, and then I'm taking a trip.
Sounds good. Yeah, come out and we'll give you a tour of all the stores and the area, and we'll have a good time. But thank you so much, Lena. From one second generation, family business to another. Thank you for all that you do for your community, for skill games across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It's been a great history of learning from your big city life, going back to Lancaster, meeting your husband. Your husband obviously loved it. He moved to Lancaster. And so creating that experience, and obviously your team, the Hefe was awesome. Really appreciate learning about the Greek history there, and just the spirit of your family is just so cool, and it resonates well with us. We both had very strong fathers that helped us come up in the business and took us back as we were out there traveling the world. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys, and thank you for all you do. I know how much work you put in, and Doug, I didn't get to tell you this, but when you spoke at the Hearst reception, I'm like, why didn't they ask him to MC? He's incredible. So now I know you were delirious and coming off of some crazy plans, but thank you. And I'm glad to be in your circle.
Oh, appreciate it, Lena.
PA skill players seek genuine PA skill games. How can you tell the real from the imitation? The PA Skill Alliance offers a 4-step identification process to help you find genuine PA skill games. 1. Check for logos. Does the machine display official Pennsylvania skill game logos? 2. Look for Powered by Pace-O-Matic. Is it Powered by Pace-O-Matic visible on the game's case? 3. Assess business reputation. Is the game a reputable business? Genuine PA skill games were not intended to be standalone businesses. 4. Examine game style. Is it a tic-tac-toe style game that offers the option to win every time? Help combat fraudulent skill games by exclusively playing genuine PA Skill Alliance supported games. Discover more at paskillalliance.org.
Guys, in honor of our friends at Grist House, we're going to talk about basically stories around the world, the original IPA retail marketing masterclass. The standard history is that George Hogginson of London's Bow Brew Company invented the India Pale Ale late in the 1700s, and because of the long boat ride,
Well, I mean, the story that I've always been told is because of the long boat ride around, guys, as everybody knows, India was just like us. It was a colony of Great Britain, England. And so England was constantly sending supplies and troops to India. So the thing I've heard, and the myth, or maybe it's true from around the world, is that they were homesick because they wanted pale ale from England. So during the shipment of the pale ale, around the different temperatures and seas and everything and different air, changed the taste into what they then called India Pale Ale. Well, then when they returned home, these guys had gotten used to the taste of this India Pale Ale, and so they wanted that taste back. So then they re-engineered the Pale Ale to try to match up with what they tasted when they were in India. Hence, India Pale Ale. That's what I've been told, and that's a myth that a lot of people believe. Is it true? It's not true.
not true.
Wow.
Yeah, so Hodgson, maybe it's Hodgson.
I'd say it's Hodgson.
Hodgson.
Yeah.
He lived near the West or the East India docks. And so he created this beer that was very similar to a modern IPA. Obviously not so clean, but he made it. And then in the early 1800s, he realized that because of all dock workers loved his beer, that he rebranded it and made this amazing light and nice beer. And then the retail memo was in the 1833, about 50 years after it was invented, the classic case of customs. British expats in the heat of India preferred lighter style and rebranding an existing product to match the demand. So it wasn't because of the transportation. It was just because of the proximity of the docks. The expats in India liked the lighter beer. And because it's the way it's made, it can be made faster than a lager. Like a lager can take 6 months.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's
really
lagering caves. Yes, the original lagering caves, you would put in a cave for like 6 months to a year.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that's
wild.
why. So that's why local breweries prefer IPAs, because you knock them out pretty quick.
And they're pretty tasty as well. That's wild. So myth is busted. I'm okay with it though. I still like the story. It's based on the fact that the East India Company was there at the docks. You know, it's still a good story to it. It's not as great of a tale though.
I can see Ryan with his kids around the fire and be like, "I'm gonna tell you about an IPA," and like it's a scene of a ship like rocking on the ocean.
That's a great story.
And the barrel swirling the beer in it, and the captain's like, "Hey, about 2 more months, that's gonna be perfect."
I still might tell it that way because it's just a good story, but unfortunately, it's not true. But it's a good story. And, you know, speaking of a good story and beer-related story, my retail story this week is 3 shots and a beer, the Norm Rocher story. Doug and I both know Norm. Norm was legendary butcher, legendary deli, meat manager, specialist. And he was actually, for years, for like 40 years, he had a full career with Shop and Save. Worked for the Bartolotta family in Murraysville, which ironically, Ron Bartolotta, when he sold the business, became our rep with Gallagher Dairy and rose to sales manager. He was their sales manager at Gallagher Dairy, and he just recently retired. So shout out Ron. I know he's watching the cast. He's watched a few of the episodes. So Ron, much respect, my friend, but had a great family business, great Shop and Save down in Murraysville, and Norm was his deli meat manager and actually produce or perishable specialist, retired with high honors. And Ron has always spoken highly of Norm. Well, Norm retired from there, and like most guys that are used to like crazy retail, fast pace, and then all of a sudden it goes from 100 mile an hour to, okay, I mowed the grass, crickets, it's too much, not enough noise for a guy like that. So he decides, I'm a great meat cutter. So he goes to Joe Oliver at the time in Apollo and says, hey, you know, I saw you were looking for a meat cutter. I could cut meat for you, but I only want. This is ironic because Doug and I both were managers when Norm was working. I only want a max of 2 days a week, 6 hours. So, but he's so good. He started, and Joe, who was a legendary meat cutter in his own right, along with the store owner, promoted him, and things happen. You know how things happen. Pretty soon, Norm's the meat manager, and he was meat manager. So he retired. I want to say it was like 2003. Worked for Joe for 4 years. Then Joe sold us the stores. Worked for him, but Norm helped really fine tune my meat education. You know, Doug was working on management. You were working on front end. You were really getting down the technology end of it and the front end customer service end of it and the grocery end of it. I'd kind of already been through the grocery end of it, and I was morphing into like learning the meat business. And Norm was an instrumental part of like really teaching me how to cut meat, he was a great meat cutter in the fact that he was a merchandiser. He really was an artist in how he could cut the meat to really just pop in the case and look great. He was great with portion control. He understood his customer and just taught me a bunch of the details, the finer details and the art of meat cutting. And so he was great, but it was funny though. I mean, he was a regimented guy, and he would get in there at 4 o'clock, whistling, singing, and you know, ironically, he started cutting meat. I'm a big Elvis Presley fan, obviously. He started cutting meat the same year Elvis Presley hit it big in 1956. Started cutting meat in 1956. Norm unfortunately passed away. Doug was away at the time, but Dad and I attended his services. Just an amazing guy, amazing family. But he was very regimented, and he would start at 4 a.m. He would cut like a stallion till noon or 1, whatever time of the job. He always get the job done. And then he would go to the pub in Apollo, and he'd have 3 shots and 3 beers. And then he'd go home, and he'd mow the grass or do whatever, take a little nap. And then he and his wife would go back to the pub, have dinner, have a couple more beers, and then he'd go to bed early and get up the next day. He was regimented, but it was his thing. 3 shots and a beer. And anytime I ever had a problem of any kind, he'd be like, oh, you don't seem like yourself, you know. And you know, it's funny. Norm wasn't a super sensitive guy, but he always knew when to like check in on someone. And if he knew I was struggling, hey, you look like you're not doing real good. I'm like, you know, I'm just having some problems right now. He'd be like, 3 shots and a beer, my friend. 3 shots and 3 beers.
At noon.
Hey, you know, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. You know, it's funny, the change, because the old timers, man, those old time butchers, they worked hard, and then they got off work, and they drank some, then they went home, took care of their family, had a couple more beers, and went to bed. It was like, that's probably why Norm was rare. He lived to be like 85. Most of the old cowboy meat cutters, they petered out in the late 60s, early 70s, probably because of that lifestyle. But if you think about it now, none of our meat managers drink. None of them drink at all.
No, they you know, and to that point too, I think it's the culture. I mean, everybody's trying to take care of themselves a little more. You know, there's so much information out there. Everybody's trying to do their thing, but it's crazy to think about. Like, I remember Norm too. Even Norm, that's weird, but the fact I remember about Norm was he loved Christmas. He had a Christmas tree in every room.
He did love Christmas.
He loved it.
That's right.
He was
really into it.
And he was World War II or Vietnam or one of the wars. I think it might have been, he was in the 56, 18. He could have been to go to World War II. He could have.
Well, no, he would have been World War II or Korea, possibly
One
Korea.
of them.
He would have been Korea, actually.
And he went over there.
Yeah.
After he got through basic, he went over there. They were playing softball, and he broke his leg so bad they were gonna take it. And like literally, he fought and like said, "You're not taking my leg." And that's why he had a limp the rest of his. I asked him about it, and it was because he almost lost it in a softball game.
I always wondered. That's funny, and I'm glad we're talking about Norm because I never realized that's what causes injury. I always assumed it was a war injury. I mean, I guess it was to a certain extent. It was while he was serving. But then I also wondered because we always had a commonality in that his daughter was a Division I monster pitcher, just amazing softball pitcher. And he and his son trained her. And I mean, I forget where she went. She went somewhere big and she was like all conference for like the Big East. Like she was legit. And I always wondered like, okay, that makes sense now. He was a player. He was in the game.
Oh, he's a player's champion.
Full circle.
Yeah, but
he was a competitor, man. He was a competitor. He always wanted to know the numbers. He always wanted to know the numbers of everybody else. And, you know, he took a lot of pride in it.
Oh, yeah.
Remember he and Dad button heads? He was the one guy that could get away with like taking shit because Dad in his prime, man, nobody messed with Dad. But Norm had enough credibility and reminded Dad of Pap enough that he knew he could get in some digs here and there. He would just poke the bear. I mean, he had respect for Dad, big time. But I remember that he would always say, "Oh yeah, you're a great butcher. You're a great slaughterhouse butcher." Like, you know, which for anybody in the butcher field, if you call somebody just a slaughterhouse butcher, you're basically just saying this is a dude mindlessly with a cleaver, just like. Where the art of meat cutting and presentation and stuff like that. So he was like just kneeling dead, and then Dad would get all mad, and those guys would go to war. But it was funny though because it was like almost like a big brother little brother relationship when they would get into it because they both had a lot of respect for each other. But it was so funny though because at the time in our company he was pretty much the only guy who would give Dad any crap. So it was really like on days where I was mad at Dad and Norm was like giving him some crap. I was like people's champion in there.
Well, let's put it this way: he stopped working for us 2008.
Well, no, he worked with us the whole way. He was 83 years old when we sold Vandergrift to Dollar General, and
that was circa 2013.
That was 2017. 2013 is when we sold Apollo to Family or Dollar Tree. And then 2017 is when we sold Vandergrift because we then used the money from Vandergrift to start the remodel process at Katanning.
But I was back then.
I know. Remember I before I owned Katanning, I ran Vandergrift and Katanning both.
No.
I started running.
But I was back though.
I understand. But when did you buy Leechburg?
2017.
Exactly. That's when I started running Vandergrift and I started running Vandergrift and Katanning because Dad and Mom wanted to get semi-retired. I ran those two stores. You bought Leechburg, and I ran those two stores. I helped run Vandergrift and bring it back to life so that we could get a good price for it from Dollar General. And then we used that money to start the Katanning process. And then I transitioned solely to Katanning and then bought the store in 2020.
Well, the joke was going to be...
Well, just say it anyways.
I was being funny. The joke was going to be that it took Dad literally 4 years to hire a professional meat cutter again with Roger.
Well, no. That is funny. And now that you said it, I wonder if it took him so long to hire Roger because he didn't want anybody giving him any crap. Because everybody else that was in the company was guys that he hired, turned from something else into a meat cutter, and then he was their only trainer.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And that makes sense why he doesn't go to Saxford. Today, Mike comes up to me. He's like this, like, "Doug, take a look at this." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Look at this sale item." I'm like, "Quarter loin, bone in." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Sprangles have been calling it assorted chops for 20 years. 20 years you guys have been calling it assorted chops. Who calls it quarter loin?" And I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "The customers are confused. What do you want to do?" I'm like, "This. What do you want to do?" He's like, "Well, I'd send it to Ryan, but it's like sending it to the courthouse."
Is that what Mike said?
He's like, he'll file that right with his taxes in no man's land.
Well, you know, I have a lot of respect for my father, so I watch. You know, I try to watch how many times I put in a veto, because it's a fine dance I do, because I have a lot of respect for Mike. I have a lot of respect for Dad. Dad's doing the ad. Mike, with his knowledge that they both are very strong-willed, they both have different thoughts, and I'm kind of the middleman. And if you ask Mike, he'll tell you that a lot of his ideas end up going through. But he's a competitor, so he wants them all to go through. I love it.
The courthouse.
That's hilarious. That's a great line, man. I'm gonna start using that. That's funny.
Ryan filed that in the mailroom. We're going to see that one for a while.
So that's the Norm. That's the ode to Norm Rocher, one of my mentors. One of Doug and Norm worked together at Apollo and Vandegrift. We both have a lot of good Norm memories, and I'm glad we brought it up, because you definitely full circled some things with Norm. But great dude, and we're thinking of you, Norm. Yeah, good stuff.
Miss you, buddy.
And now it's time. Boom! Retail trends with Doug.
Guys, this one is going to Lancaster County. Back to Lancaster. So retail trends. This week's actually all Lancaster. I'm pretty excited about it. But the current trend is the Gish's Furniture Development. It's a 2026 groundbreaking had just happened. Brand new Gish Furniture Showroom and Shopping Center on Lincoln Highway East. The project integrated the regional shift towards investment-grade furniture, passing it down to the kids. And basically almost crashed it to American made as consumers pull away from the disposable fast furniture.
You know what I love about that?
What?
I love the fact that it's anytime, and you know, we've done this, we've talked about this, we've done this, but like, anytime you have a family business that's in pretty much a corporate cornered industry, where they've pretty much sucked the life out of anybody that can possibly muster resistance to the corporate monster. And so when you have somebody that's in an industry like that, that not only is surviving, but is thriving to the point that as a family, they're able to reinvest and go big like that, and really go toe to toe with the corporate monsters. I mean, I gotta give a lot of credit to those guys, man. What a great accomplishment as a family, knowing what it takes to run a family business and grow a family business, to have that kind of investment and go big time against the Levins of the world, against the Ashleys of the world. I mean,
Bob's.
Yeah, Bob's. I mean, you know, hey, bravo, Gishes. Got my vote.
Well, Ryan, what's in the bag this week?
What's in the bag this week is, again, got an ode to Chevy Chase, Christmas Vacation.
Hey, one week we should put a cat in there.
Oh my God. No, PETA would be all over our butts.
It's your side.
PETA would be all over our butts. Anyway,
it's on your side.
This is a local favorite, Western PA, iconic favorite. If you're anywhere in Western PA, especially north of the city, you probably have been exposed to this in some way, maybe not even knowing it at a restaurant. Ciccarelli Brothers Italian dressing from Verona, PA. I mean, these guys do a great job. It's the best Italian dressing, honestly, that you're ever going to have. And, you know, do you remember, Doug, before, and these guys, the Burl Inn used to be the place to go for this, but Ciccarelli Brothers Italian dressing, Verona, PA. Verona by Oakmont, PA, Oakmont Country Club. For those of you that aren't from Western PA, if you ever watch Oakmont Country Club US Open, right beside it is Ciccarelli Brothers dressing. But it's the best Italian dressing made. We sell it at all three stores, sell a ton of it at all three stores. I mean, we don't even have to put it on sale. We don't put it in the ad. We just put it on display, and we sell like 30 cases every 2 months.
What'd you call it?
Ciccarelli Brothers.
I don't think it's Ciccarelli.
It is Ciccarelli.
I think it's Ciccarelli.
It is not Ciccarelli. That's hilarious.
Yinzer!
That's hilarious. Yeah.
I'm a Yinzer.
It's not Ciccarelli. It's Ciccarelli. It's Ciccarelli for sure. I just talked to the founder, Mr. Ciccarelli. And it is definitely Ciccarelli.
I have been mispronouncing it for 10 years.
You've been calling it Ciccarelli.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Ciccarelli.
I mean, you know, I could see that, to be honest with you. I could see Ciccarelli, but It is Ciccarelli Brothers, Ciciarelli, and it's amazing. And again, I'm not solicited. These are just items that I like, that I enjoy, that I have a history with. I've been calling these guys. When you call for an order, you literally call the Burl Inn in Lower Burl. You call the Burl Inn. They never pick up. It's just it's a voicemail that they made in like 1975. Hey, Ciccarelli Brothers, leave a message with your order. Beep. I mean, there's no online ordering. There's no fancy order machine. Literally, you're on the phone. Beep. Yeah, Ryan at Sprankles. I'll take 30 cases to Leechburg whenever. Click. And here's the thing. You never get confirmation that they received the order. It's so old school. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful. If you guys are watching, I love it. Don't change, because it's a beautiful thing, because it's so old school. Like, literally, you leave it out there. You don't know if they got it or not. But miraculously, it always shows up. Like 30 cases shows up within like a week, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks. But it comes. So you always got to make sure. One thing you don't want to do, the biggest risk with this stuff is it sells so fast that the biggest risk is that it's, you got to make sure, in case they're behind, you got to order like 3 weeks out. You can't risk being out of the stuff, because then you lose a ton of sales. But Ciccarelli Brothers Italian dressing.
Well, he's cracking it up. I think it's funny how I get mine. It just shows up in the back of my truck.
And this stuff.
All of a sudden I get an email. But
that's it, because he never knows I order it. But I tell you what, baby, this Italian dressing is good enough. Oh,
can you just shot that down your throat?
oh, it's so good.
Bottle of it.
I mean, it's so good. I'm telling you. You haven't tried it, try it.
Well, Ryan's mowing down
Western PA classic.
his Ciccarelli over there. The Italian dressing was purely American invention. It was made by immigrants in the 1940s. It's in Italy, salad traditionally dressed in simple in olive oil and vinegar, lemon juice, salt, and at the table, rather than pre-mixed herb-heavy vinaigrette. The history bottle version known traces back to two primary locations. Ron, tell us about Ken's.
Man, you're on a roll. Did you just say herb?
Yeah.
I love it, man. What is happening over there?
I don't know.
I mean, you have had a long week. I mean, we both have been. I mean, I've had like three.
What'd you say?
I've had like 3 mental break. No, my speech hasn't been impaired yet.
Herbs.
It's herbs.
Oh my God, so funny. Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny.
No, it's just funny because we've had a long week. We got to, but you know, I've had like 3 mental borderline breakdowns today. And Doug's, saying herbs.
Herbs. My God, I have a horrible
I
accent.
love it, man. No, it's great.
Gotta get
It's
rid of
funny
it.
as hell, man.
I have to go back to Ohio.
It's
Going back to Ohio.
This is great. All right, speaking of great, it is time for Boom! Doug's Retail Story of the Week. Genuine PA Skill Games, powered by Pacematic and supported by PA Skill Alliance, are dedicated to fostering growth throughout the Commonwealth. These games have been instrumental in supporting local fraternal orders, fire companies, bars, and retailers by keeping businesses operational, maintaining employment, and funding community projects. With over 5,000 communities across Pennsylvania, it's highly probable that genuine PA Skill Games are working hard behind the scenes in your area. They ensure the vitality of our main streets, restaurants, bars, and stores. By supporting PASkillAlliance.org, you are investing time in your community, employing your neighbors, and contributing to local nonprofits. Together, we can help keep Main Street open for business.
The draft. So the draft was an interesting experience. So for those who don't know, if you're from Pittsburgh, it was the news like this.
Death, death, death. Don't go to Pittsburgh. Traffic, death, death.
And like literally for 2 weeks. So I'm like freaked out. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get in the city. It's going to be closed down. So I had to go down for an event. And so there's the day before. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to risk it. I can't even get to my hotel because of the traffic closure. So I'm just going to get an Uber. Uber guy picks me up, tell him about the podcast, drive down the city. So then we get to the city. I walk like 2 blocks to the hotel, get to the hotel, and I'm like, you know what? It's only 6 o'clock. I got some time. I'm going to go see what's going on with this draft thing, walk around, see some sights, and do that. So I'm at the point, and I'm like, you know what? I heard about this thing where this guy bought a bunch of golf carts, and you can take a golf cart through Pittsburgh. It's pretty amazing. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I go out, and the guy's there, and I saw the same guy when I came into the building. I'm like, hey, bud. His name was like Bob. He's like, what's up, man? I'm like, hey, you doing the golf cart? What's the deal? And he's like, $25 anywhere in the city. I'm like, what? $25 anywhere in the city? This is a great deal. So I'm with Bob, and Bob's like, well, first off, you got to go and pay that guy. You can't pay Bob directly. You got to pay this other guy that's the Bob handler. Kind of weird, right? So I get into the golf cart, and so Bob, I'm start talking to Bob. I'm like, Bob, where you from? He's like, I'm from Erie. I'm like, oh, all right. First time in the city. He's like, yeah, literally, it's my first time in the city. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. So Bob gets lost, ends up in the south side for the first time. So we're driving. If you guys don't know, we're at the points the triangle. He goes across the Smithfield. He gets ready to go across Smithfield Bridge. I'm like, bro, you can't go across there. We're going to the north side. And he's like, oh, okay. So I have to I'm sitting there, and mind you, there's a refrigeration issue happening at Leechburg. I'm trying to walk everybody through. And shocking, it's 5:30 or 6 o'clock. So it's after all my guys are in bed sleeping. And, so I'm there trying to talk the girls through it. Nash, shout out, comes off the couch to help us. And, the usual triple overtime because, we wait till after 5 o'clock, tell them there's issues. And I'm trying to deal with this problem on speakerphone in the back of a golf cart, guy ripping through the city, cutting intersections, running through whatever. And he's lost. So I'm trying to navigate this guy, Bob, with my little map. And I'm trying to negotiate this refrigeration issue. And I finally get Bob to go in the right direction. We're finally on Liberty. We're going up towards the 9th Street Bridge. We cut across the 9th Street Bridge. Everything's closed. And I'm like, So then I'm like, I need to get over there so I can see what's going on with the traffic. I was going to do some pre-shots for the podcast, get some people behind the scene views. So I'm like, all right. So then he goes out, he's like this, all right, well, we're just going to follow these signs. So he follows these signs. And all of a sudden we're in the questionable section of Northside. Not the nice brownstone section. We're in a little bit rougher area. And he's like, so where you from? I'm like, dude, I need you to get back over there. And so he got us back over there. And we were making small talk and telling about this, and he's telling me this whole thing. So at this point, we're at 40 minutes. We're 40 minutes into the ride. And I'm like, all right. So then back to the refrigeration issue. I'm like, hey, listen, you're just going to go up there and drop me off. And it's like 2 blocks up, make a left, go to the right. You're right there. And he's like, all right, got it. It's back to refrigeration. He's not paying attention. I'm looking down my phone. I'm looking at contact information, look at the refrigeration information. And all of a sudden I look back up and I'm like, we are on the West End Bridge. We are on the West End Bridge. Bro, we're on the West End Bridge. We should not be on here with a golf cart that only does 25 miles per hour, crossing the West End Bridge. And so I'm like, hold on, I'll call you back. I look up and there's cars blaring through us. I mean, it's a highway at that point because the West End Bridge is not thorough traffic. It's the highway. It's 50, 58, whatever it may be. So we get off the West End Bridge exit and there's no way to make a left there. You have to go up the hill and then come back down. And he's like, let's pull a Yui here. I'm like, I don't know, man. And it's a negotiation. And I'm like, we shouldn't be doing this. He's like, pull a Yui. Pulls a Yui. And because it's a long golf cart, he has to stop and back up and then go back down. State police comes and says, go ahead and do your thing. And so he takes him back down the hill, end up on East Carson Street, going toward, we're in West Carson, end up back at Smithfield Bridge. Takes me back across, right past my hotel again, back to the north side. So now we're an hour and 15 minutes into this cart ride. So then, I'm like, geez, man, my whole night's ruined. I should go to bed early. I got an event tomorrow. I got to get back to the city. So then, he's nice enough. He gets me to Tequila Cowboys. And I'm like, dude, just drop me off. I'll walk the rest. So I get him, I get out of the car, I give him $10 and say, hey man, good luck. Had to study some maps and know the city. So the next little golf cart guy comes up and I'm like, hey man, he's like, yeah, I'll get you over there. It won't take long. I'm like, okay, great. So I got over and it was this little bar on the corner and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have a few drinks. So then there was I was there. I was thinking about how, so I got there and now it's 9:30, 10 o'clock and there's nobody there. It's a dead ghost town. And I'm like, all right.
Directions to where?
And then all of a sudden, is Uncle Jack here? Oh, your phone's on. Gotcha. Anyway, so as Ryan's trying to navigate to somewhere, we finally get to this place, and then all of a sudden, we're playing and hanging out. I'm hanging out, eating some chips, whatever, eating some food. And I usually don't let the wheels fall off on a normal occasion, and especially with a bunch of strangers. But then, for some reason, just the mood hit me. It was 10 o'clock at night, And this guy from New York, Long Island was there. This guy from Maryland was there. Everybody's there for the draft. Dude, we turned this thing into a party that lasts till 4 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock in the morning. And I don't stay out past 10 on normal occasions. So it's 4 o'clock in the morning, get back into another little golf cart, go back to the hotel. And so I lost my key somehow on the way there. So I'm there at the, and guys, if you guys weren't at the draft had so many troopers, SWAT team guys, like there was just a million different like police force organizations. So I'm stumbling towards the building looking for the hotel and it's locked because it's after a certain time. And the guy's like, "Hey, are you staying here?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm staying here. I just need to get in." He's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "I think I'm all right. I just need to get to my room." He's like, "Well, make sure you hit the black box. I'll let you in, get you another key and go to your room." I'm like, "That's okay." So I got my key, but I went to bed at 5, woke back up, and I think it was like 10, and then I had to go to an event over across city, walk across city. But the golf cart thing was just wild.
I mean, the whole thing is wild. But the number one thing, though, the number one question I have is, like, where do you apply for a job as an agent for a golf cart rickshaw man?
I don't know.
I mean, that's the part. I don't know, with a $25 price point in the city of Pittsburgh on game day, I don't think there's a lot of margin for layers of help. So you got the guy operating the golf cart, and then you got this agent thrown in there. I guess you're tipping. But then here's the other thing. The dude, fairly open city. You can pretty much see everything going on. I mean, the fact, I have a feeling this guy might have been under the influence.
No. I mean, good
how
point.
do you make those bad turns?
Well, here's a crazy thing. The guy had his own GPS right there. So, I mean, GPS is right there on the golf cart on his phone. I just think he was just enjoying his life. But you're right. It is weird having the agent for the golf cart as far as layers.
Yeah.
But like, and it was weird too, because if you got in a golf cart and there was an agent nearby, the guy drove you to the agent to pay, and then you went and did your thing.
Yeah.
But $25 seemed extremely cheap when parking at the casino that night was $250.
There's Western Pennsylvania normal rates, Katanning, Saxonburg, Leechburg rates. Then there's Pittsburgh rates. Then there's game day Pittsburgh rates. And then there's like New Year's Pittsburgh rates. And then in its own rarefied category is draft rates. $250 parking at the casino. I mean, this guy, I feel like, is way undercharging, although based upon the ride, seems like the rate was about right.
I feel like
Although you got a lot for your money.
Well, no, I feel like I got a Groupon that I didn't sign up for.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a Groupon. Like, I'm just going around. And the best part, he doesn't know the city, so I had to explain to him, like, hey, if you see a mountain means you're on the south side of the city. If you see no mountains, that means good. That means you're north side of the city. I'm like, if you see the big buildings, it means you're in the center of the city. And he was, I felt like I was talking like Spanish or, like just some like crazy, like the guy had no understanding what I was saying. It was funny.
And you just pointed out too the beauty of owning or managing a retail store. You finally punched out for the day. You're in your golf cart. You had a drink. You're just enjoying the city view, enjoying the draft, and all of a sudden, torpedo time. I gotta call you, and the world forces you to react because there's $10,000+ worth of inventory at stake, so you got to make sure it's handled correctly. So you're never free. Oh, kids, be doctors, be lawyers, be accountants, be anything that you can drop the mic and leave and go home and check out. No pun intended. Anyways. That's a classic story. I love it though, man. That's what I love about my brother. That's what I love about our family. Almost 40 years old, still willing to just let the winds take you.
Take me win.
Wherever it's blowing at the time. Man in charge of 3 stores at the time. We're operating a podcast, and he just lets the wind blow him And next thing you know, it's 5 a.m. I mean, our father in his prime would be very proud of you.
Woo! I was all in, baby.
You didn't miss work. And you didn't miss any obligation.
That was another story for another day. That was another story.
So we got, boom, This Week in Retail History with Doug.
Guys, we go back to the land of Lancaster, and we talk about Woolworths at 170 North Queen Street, right downtown Lancaster, talking about, it's crazy. The crazy retail guys, gals that came out of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth. So Woolworths, for those who don't know, was originally founded in New York. It didn't work out, so we're going to Lancaster. And there's some great facts. We're just going to, today we're going to do a little differently. I'm not going to go through like a little story. We're just going to go through facts. So the first fact is that basically first attempt at the Great 5 Cent store in Utica, New York, failed in less than 3 months, realized Utica was too small and the location was poor. He moved to Lancaster in June of 1879, where higher foot traffic in the local market town, the culture made the store #1 and an instant success.
Woolworths 5 and Dime was born.
Right. And then they invented the self-service concept. Before you walk to Woolworth, you walk to this counter and ask the clerk for an item that they fetched it from the drawer on the high shelf. Woolworth pioneered open displays, allowing customers to actually touch, feel, and pick up the merchandise themselves and go and check out. Also, fun fact is, if you guys have been in New York City, the Woolworth building in 1913 was built. It was the tallest building at the time, 792 feet. The guy paid $13.5 million in that day's number cash to build it, debt free. That's a lot of nickels and dimes.
Genius is what that is. I mean, there's some people, there's some guys that you go back and you think, guys and girls that you go back and you think, okay, these people really changed retail. This guy really changed retail. I wasn't aware of the fact that Woolworth, and he was the reason that now we just have stores where you go and buy. It's not full service. You don't ask and go get the list for the customer. It's all right there. Ironically, with online ordering and stuff like that, it's kind of revert back to that in some capacity, but there's still a vibrant, as we know, active retail shopping experience. And it's funny, I never knew it all came from him. And the $13.5 million, I'm going to look that up right now and see what that is in today's dollars.
Well, while Ryan's going to the middleman, Woolworth cut it out. He was the first one to bypass wholesalers, traveled directly to Europe and other places in the U.S. to buy the entire output of factories to basically be the direct-to-factory store. He also was kind of a oddball. He would test his employees' alertness. What he would do is he'd dress up in a costume, disguise, and intentionally shoplift to see how they handled it. Kind of wild. In 1880, a salesperson pitched him hand-blown glass ornaments from Germany. Woolworth thought these were useless and they would never sell. Reluctantly, he bought $25 worth at his Lancaster store, sold out in hours, and asked for the rest of his life. Woolworth was the largest importer of Christmas decorations in the world. Pretty cool. A global brand before the time, long before McDonald's and Starbucks and all the people we know, Walmart, were killing it. He basically, in mid-20th century, there were 3,000 near identical stores worldwide and the following layout and branding. So it was all the same exact store. And so they could easily manage the retail end of it because it's the same store no matter where you went.
About $500 million.
Cash.
So, I mean, this guy was on it, man. And the 5 and 10, the Woolworth building, there was one in every town. Katanning had one. I mean, I just saw an old picture in Katanning. There was a Woolworth building in Katanning. I mean, just a monster. I'm
going to finish with this, Ryan. You know Woolworth still exists today?
No.
You've been to the store. Everybody listening has been to the store one time in their life, probably. Any guess?
No.
Foot Locker. So the 5 and dime stores were gone, but the company just didn't vanish. In 1970, Woolworth launched a special division called Foot Locker. As variety store declined, the athletic side thrived. In 2001, the FW Woolworth Company officially changed its name to Foot Locker, Inc.
That is definitely a trivia question that without the help of AI or Google or whatever you're using, you'd never get that. No way would I be. If you gave me 500 guesses, I wouldn't have guessed it in 500 guesses.
Nobody would guess that.
No, that's crazy. You just never know what a business is going to become. Like, who knows? Sprankles 100 years from now, what's it going to be? We don't know.
It would be dead.
We'll be dead. But who knows what it'll be? Who knows what our corporations will be? But anyways, yeah, it's interesting.
But guys, it's been a great episode. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Lena, for coming on the show. Guys, as always, thank you to our sponsors at paskilllines.org for making genuine skill games available throughout the Commonwealth, helping small businesses, fraternal orders, and guys like us keep the lights on, people employed, and our community alive. Thank you so much. For more information, paskilllines.org.
Skill, not luck, baby. And we are very, very thankful for everybody that's liking and sharing and spreading the word on the cast. And we're looking forward to the next episode. So thanks for all the support out there. We can't do what we do without you.
Come and see us. Ooh, IPA, brother.
Oh,
Okay.
I could use an IPA.
You want a beer? Right around the corner.
I can't. I got to work out before I go see Paul Skeens.
One beer is not going to kill your workout. You still have
That's
about
valid.
You have 40 minutes. It's going to be out of your system before you even get home.
That's valid.